Back in the 90s, there was a movie called Field of Dreams. In the movie, some sort of ghost voice kept telling Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come. In that same incessant, creepy, whispery voice that I just made. But if you build it, they will come turns out to be terrible advice for founders. Instead of jumping right into building product, doing some work around customer discovery and testing assumptions represent some of the best initial investments of your founder time and resources. Today, we're talking to a go-to-market expert, Huynh, the awesome co-founder and CEO of Acta Solutions, to get some advice from him. Tai, what is the approach you've taken to frame up customer discovery and go-to-market with Acta Solutions?
Thanks for having me, Eric. Super excited to be here. So yeah, at Acta, I think how we approach customer discovery is really driven by two tactical frameworks. And then the third piece is really more philosophical. So I'll start with the kind of higher level philosophy of it, which is the need to really focus on distribution. I think we agree with Hustle Fund that, having a distribution advantage is always going to win out over, a slightly better product or anything like that. So we have a really core focus on how we distribute to our customers, how we get in front of them. And then the other philosophical piece is being flexible. I think a lot of the times as founders, we're very bought into our idea and how we want to do things and how we expect things to go. But the ability to be flexible is obviously integral to, I think, any founder's success. So onto the more tactical pieces, which is why I guess most people are here. I think the first big framework that we came across that we fell in love with was the jobs to be done framework. There's a free resource out there that was put together by the team at Intercom. I think they were one of the most successful instances of, using this framework. And one of the core kind of tenets of it is, while you're doing customer discovery, a lot of folks really focus on personas and getting like really detailed. Like, I'm looking for Tai and he's, 20 whatever, Asian American male, blah, blah, blah. But instead of focusing and drilling down on that, you should be really looking for the situation and the context where Tai is actually going to buy or look for your service. And so, that resource that I mentioned, Intercom, really lays out some tactics for you to be able to apply this to your customer discovery. The second framework is a set of books. I think they're under 80 or 100 pages each. I think you can get them for free. If not, they're like $10 each, I think. But it's called Talking to Humans and then Testing with Humans. The first one is all about how to actually do customer discovery interviews in an unbiased way, how to track your interviews and make sure that you're getting the information you need. And then the second piece, and I think this is probably the one that if you had one takeaway from me today is to get this testing with humans and apply their experimentation matrix. And they have this believability curve in there where it's, like the amount of effort it takes and the believability of your results. And there's different experiments that you can run across that curve to try and prove out your go-to-market strategy, whether that's the channel we're using, the method of actually acquiring the customer, all of that stuff. I think one of the strongest forces that is out there is confirmation bias. And the testing with humans really forces you to set metrics up front for what success looks like. And it's a very, unemotional, if we hit this experiment is a success. If not, it fails. And I think that is a huge help for founders looking to create a go-to-market strategy.
What I really like about this, Tai, is I haven't really met an early startup team like yours really ever before that has so much preparation and strategy behind how they talk to the people that they're trying to serve, their clients, their customers. One observation that I've made as a venture capitalist is people in theory understand that it is important to speak to their customers, to do things like follow me homes or other kinds of discovery work. But I don't think that there is much framework in mind in terms of what they're trying to extract from those experiences. So I want to actually hover on one thing, which is around the confirmation bias. This is a pretty interesting point that you are pulling up, which is something to be aware of. As a founder, I think you naturally have to be slightly naive in believing that whatever you're trying to put out there in the world is going to have a market, or you can create one. What have been your best personal tools that you've seen as you applied these frameworks to also, put a checks and balance and knowing that this feels like something that is that I'm biasing towards and trying to build some more objectivity?
It's a great question. So I think first and foremost, having a team. I think my co-founder is best in the world. I'd put him up against anybody. Having co-founders that continually challenge, what assumptions you're bringing to the table and where you may have blind spots and how you approach things. I recently had a conversation with one of my co-founders, and he was saying even more so than complementary skill sets, we have complementary problem solving mindsets. And I thought that was a really handy quote. And then on a more tactical side, I think going back to that experiment matrix and being able to, set out, here's what I'm expecting to happen up front. And, I would deem it a success if this was the outcome of the experiment or whatever. And then being able to track and go back to that afterwards and have it preset so you're not, after you've done it, whether it's deploying a feature or whatever, you're probably more emotionally invested. Having done that before the high emotional state really helps to, I guess, mitigate against some of that more bias that you're talking about.
I think a perfect case for why diversity matters, right? If everyone comes from the same kinds of backgrounds and has the same worldviews, then I think the risk of confirmation bias is quite high. But it sounds like you've done a great job within Acta to create enough diversity of world experiences and perspectives of everyone's climbing the same mountain, but maybe from different sides, which is, I think, one of the best situations to be in. So let's dig into, I think, the next part of this. You talked about these great theories and frameworks. Any stories you can share with us for how you've applied this in the case of Acta?
It meant a lot that you said we were a team, a founding team that had a lot of strategy behind we go about this, because we came to this approach through a lot of failure. So our first product actually failed because we, like you said, we had gone through accelerators. We knew we were supposed to talk to customers. We knew we were supposed to do customer discovery, but we didn't do it well. I think we had a lot of confirmation bias, and we're just kind of teasing out the things that we wanted to hear. And we had some initial traction with that first product. But when COVID hit, we all started the company right after we graduated college in May of 2020, which is a tough time. The pandemic really showed us that our product, all that discovery that we did, was wrong. It was a very nice to have product, not a need to have. And so that drastic failure really ingrained in us the need to be more strategic. And that's what really drove us to seek out these frameworks and then apply them very rigorously.
It seems like this was able to allow you to fail fast on these pivots. Also gets to a place where you've got some pretty impressive ARR within the first few months of, I think, this company's journey too, from what I understood in our notes.
Yeah, so we, like I mentioned, with that first product, we were struggling to get past like 3K ARR. And then, we did a robust round of customer discovery, tested out some go-to-market strategies using these frameworks, and launched our product in January of 2022. And we hit 100K ARR within 10 months of that.
Wow, really impressive. Okay, so we've gotten some really great tactical advice from you, Tai, about some of these frameworks for customer discovery, go to market, how you've been able to employ them in Acta, but we haven't really even talked about you or Acta yet. Can you share a little bit more about what your journey has been? And of course, maybe starting with what is Acta Solutions?
Yeah, for sure. So I am a co-founder of Acta. We are a GovTech company, SaaS solution that makes it faster and easier for local governments to respond and resolve repetitive customer service requests. So you can think of things like trying to get a business license or a building permit. Those are kind of our core use cases. And our tools enhance the communication workflows within a government agency. So we currently work with, I think, about 35 or 36 local governments, so cities and counties across 10 states, serving about 15 million citizens.
You've had a bit of an interesting background because you are not just a startup founder, but also a politician too. Can you share a little bit more as to how you've and why you've balanced, I think, some civic duty work alongside the stress of being a founder too?
Yeah, sure. So, our company serves local governments. We all live and breathe local government, a space we're very passionate about. So I served on a few boards for my town for 3 or 4 years, and that ultimately culminated in me running for the town council in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Worked hard at it and somehow managed to eke out a victory. I won by 24 votes, so every vote counts in your local elections, and I became the first Vietnamese American elected to public office in the state of North Carolina. So we were able to make a little bit of history there. I'm very proud of that for our community. And I think it's a perfect balance, because when I go out and I talk to local governments who could potentially be customers, I bring a perspective that, no other vendor out there really has.
That's amazing. Love this story. And thank you so much for all this great advice. Tai Huynh, the founder of Acta Solutions, has given us some great advice on go-to-market strategy and doing discovery calls. I highly recommend that you check out his amazing GovTech company, Acta Solutions .io. And Tai, just sending it back to you, is there anything that our Uncapped Notes community can do to help you?
Oh, for sure. If anyone across the ecosystem has any connections or folks they know within cities and counties across the US, we're always looking for more introductions to get in front of these local government officials. So that would be hugely beneficial for us.
Fantastic. Check out Tai and team at actasolutions.io. And if you have ways to help out Tai and team, or you have some other advice on this topic of go-to-market strategy and discovery, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Uncapped Notes.